We have heard so much about writers writing about nature. There have been odes to nature. We have sung about spring. We have sung about flowers. We have been romancing with nature so long. But the question is, what is nature saying to the writers of today? That is something I want to talk about. What is the message of nature and ecology for us today? And this is not an easy question to answer, for the simple reason that the answer lies in another question, which human beings have asked always, all their lives, since civilization. What is reality? What is this? Why am I here? What is my role? How do I adapt to this reality? Is my adaptation correct? Am I correct? Am I being reality correctly? What is this? Now the first answer to this question, if you bear with me, came from the Vedics, 5,000 years ago. Beautiful answer it was. The Vedics said, reality is a living being. This living being is omnipotent, omnipresent, is everywhere. It is a living being. That was a great intuitive philosophy, and it gave birth to great religions. Because of this great vision of man, that reality is a living being, there were people like Buddha who said, don't kill an ant. There were people who came forth and said that the doornail is equally alive and we must respect all life. Great religions came about. There was Hinduism, and Hinduism and Buddhism came up with the philosophy of Allah alone, which said, I was a caterpillar once. I am a caterpillar on a green leaf. I can be a caterpillar again in my coming life. I was something else before. I can be something else again. This was religion's way of telling us to respect our life. Because perhaps you will be that one day. This was just religion's way of telling us that we must respect all forms of life. Perhaps we were what we have been all that form. That is what Darwin also said. I don't see any difference between Darwin and Allah. Anyhow, we don't want to talk about that. But then came the Greeks. They came up and they became the father philosophy of all thoughts. And they said, some of the Greeks said that this is, what is this? This, they said, is organismic one being. Once again, they said this is all one. But then Greeks were also very analytical, and there were other Greeks who said, no, it's not one, it's many. This is plural. This is a multiverse. This is many. This is atoms. It's not unity. It's plurality. And a debate began. This debate, you would not believe, between the idealists and the realists, continued for about 1,000 years. And in 1,000 years, the debate was not settled. And no one won. There were truth on both sides, like a coin. Truth was two-sided. That were the philosophers. And so what happened? What happened was that there came about what is known as pragmatists. The pragmatists said, forget about idealism and forget about realism. Let's concentrate on what is profitable. They said, the knowledge which is beneficial to man, let's think about that. Let's not talk about what is this. There was a similar movement amongst the Sufis. They said, ilm nafi, that knowledge which is profitable, that referred to science and technology, because technology was immensely profitable. It was beneficial to man. So we forgot the question, what is this? We didn't ask that question for a long time. We became very busy with our toasters and our TV players and our LCDs and our bicycles and new models of cars, things that science had given us through profitable knowledge, through ilm nafi. But the question was always lurking behind. The question was always there at the back of our mind. What is this? So what happened was, the scientists came about. The scientists told us, they said, this is all material. They said it's atoms. And atoms are invisible, but you can still put an atom under a microscope and know it is an atom. You can experiment with an atom. You can do experiments. And atoms make up everything. You take some atoms of oxygen, you take some atoms of hydrogen, and you make oxygen. And that is how all things are made. And you take more elements of hydrogen and less elements of oxygen, and you make hydrogen peroxide. And that is how all things are made. From the sun, the star, the earth, the moon, human beings. This wonderful lady sitting in front, this desk, is all elements. Some are more concentrated, others are less concentrated, like water. So we all started believing in atoms. And the world became a very fixed, mechanical place, where we could predict the movement of atoms. We could predict precisely when the sun will be there. We could predict precisely the movement of the moon. We could predict precisely when the moon will be under a solar eclipse. We could predict the movement of atoms. And we became very powerful. And people like Newton and Einstein ruled our worlds, our mental worlds, our conceptual worlds. But then what happened? Now what is the message today? I'm coming back to my question. What happened was that there are certain scientists who broke the atom. And they looked into the atom. When they looked into the atom, what I in my language call batin, when they looked inside. Newton had given us an outside view of atoms. When they looked inside the atom and they broke the atom, they found a new world, a completely new world. A world where nothing was predictable. A world which was a big, living, organic, single web of life. A world where nothing could be separated. A world where there was no concept of reality. A world that this reality is linked to how you perceive it. The human reference point is important. And at many times you will see what you perceive. This scientific picture of the world today This is the scientific picture of reality today. Reality is one. It is interlinked. It is interdependent. It is a web. It is one web where nothing can be separated, where there is no other. So what is the message for the writer? The message for the writer is, I won't talk about just psychology because there is not much enough time. And frankly, I need a glass of water. But what is the message today? The message is, and it's a scientific message, that the whole is more important than the part. That the part gains its significance, its meanings from the whole. That the totality in which we all are gives us our identity, gives us our being, gives us what we are. And therefore, this is an age, we have come to an age where for creative writers, the message is synthesis is more than analysis. Wow. Thank you very much. I will end this because I don't like standing here and waiting. So I will end this by quoting one of the leading physicists of today. His name is Fritjof Capra. He is a physicist and he has written two wonderful books, and the message for the writers is in those books. And I repeat, in his book, The Turning Point, I think we have reached a turning point. What a title, a turning point. He says, we have favored self-assertion over integration. We have favored analysis over synthesis. Rational knowledge over intuitive wisdom. And science over religion. Competition over cooperation. Expansion over conservation. And so on. This one-sided development today in modern times has now reached a highly alarming stage, a crisis of social, ecological, moral and spiritual dimensions. That is their role. Your role is, my role is. Thank you very much.
Muito